day, guten Abend, guten Morgen, good morning, everybody. We are Our Relationship To, a podcast where we talk about our relationships to things. And in today's episode, our officially first episode, even though this is going to be like, the 8th one we recorded? The 10th one? It's good. We're finally going to be talking...
I think it's our 9th or 10th one.
Oh my gosh. Technical issues aside, this is technically the first episode, the inaugural episode, where we're talking about our relationship to each other. My name is Felix.
Woo.
I'm Cheryl.
I'm Grace.
And I'm Ludwig.
And we're going to be talking about how we all met, how we are all together, where our lives have taken us, and deepest of all, what we think about each other. Ooh. I don't know where to start. We're all friends, I guess.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the episode. We're done.
How we all got to know each other. I think that's the best way to start.
Let's start with the story
the
of
through line.
Felix and Grace, because that's where it starts, I think.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that's a good start.
I think it's like the oldest relationship out of all 4.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Let me take you back to the beginning. New York, 1969.
What?
I'm Spider-Man. Remember that clip?
Yeah.
The special scene for Into the Spider-Verse?
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
So let's start at the very beginning, and it starts off with little Grace and little Felix going to Kumon.
Come on, baby.
And for those who don't know, what Kumon is, that is a privilege. Because
Yeah.
it's a tutoring program that you put kids into to work on their math skills, language skills, and it's like not only to build up a good quality of skill, but to do it faster.
Yeah,
be
so
stronger.
Yeah, so that
be the one that
God.
defeats the other noobs in class.
so the way that it works is that they
what-
nail down the idea of practice. So they'll give you a bunch of questions, math questions, for instance, and sure, you can get them all perfect, but if you get them all done in like 30 minutes or more, then it's a fail. You have to do it faster, and you have to be as accurate as possible. It's kind of insane, and you kind of lose your sanity as you do the same worksheets over and over again until you essentially just memorize the answers before you actually memorize how to get the answers. It is really absurd. But anyways, Grace and I met there. We were pals, and we were both just comrades in arms in this terrible tutoring program.
Make it seem like it's boot camp or something.
It kind of is math and English boot camp.
Oh, God.
Well, it's basically that. You have to do these worksheets over and over and over again. But yeah, we struck a friendship there.
Where is the worth in that? Like, I work in the social fields, and my question always today is like, what as a kid do you learn from that? But this is beside the question. Sorry.
Math good. English good.
Not good.
Go to Harvard.
I mean, we both ended up being in the arts, so that kind of speaks to the.
I can tell you that 5 times 4 is 20, Ludwig. That's as much as I can tell you.
Yeah, but actually, it gives you basic computing skills and like math that would be a lot faster, and I did the French and English side of Kumon as well.
There's French Kumon?
Yeah.
What?
French
Oh, I
Kumon.
did not know anything about French Kumon. I just did the English one, and that one was rough because it's like you have to come up with you have to read really tough literature and come up with a paragraph for an answer, and God forbid you got their answer wrong or you completely missed the point. They have to mark you fail, and they had to do it again. So I had to read like the same passage for months,
and then you gotta do that shit in French too.
Well, I can't imagine it in French.
Yeah.
Anyways, Grace and I met there.
But like essentially, so essentially we did this. I think I started Kumon when I was in grade 3 or 4. So we actually met each other when we were literal kids.
Yeah.
And then because of the proximity of where we lived with the Canadian education system, you are also in similar areas for high school. I went to a high school that was near Felix, so we actually ended up catching each other for like a delayed lunch, or like we had a spare period, so we would hang out. Yeah.
Remember the time that you thought I stood you up and you had to stand in the rain and your friends made fun of you at lunch?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was probably like the lowest point of my high school friendship
with
you.
You didn't actually stand her up.
I didn't know. I could just completely
So you did stand her up.
You
So you did stand her up.
I'm sorry.
You say I thought I stood. No, you actually did. I forgot. Say you're sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That was Canadian rain is cold, guys. You know.
It's the wet cold. But yeah, that's how I met Grace. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then the way how the world happens to work is Felix meets people and brings people together. And so
do you, Grace.
for me-
Grace. Anybody
Yeah, that's true.
Anybody in the arts that lives in Scarborough
Yeah.
will know Grace fan in one way, shape, or form. Because you're always there and you work yourself way too hard. And everybody knows you as being that super
true.
bubbly person and bubbly personality that is always there advocating for arts and for the inclusion of people of multicultures in the arts in Scarborough. So as much as you say that I bring people together, you bring a lot more people in together. Because it'll just be a thing where I will talk with this flute player that I've never spoken to before, and we'll just be getting to know each other. Hey, do you know Grace? It's like, oh my god, how do you know Grace? I'm like, hang on, this guy is like in the classical music field in a totally different university across town. How the hell do you know Grace?
That is just how Grace is.
No, but I think in this stance or this situation, you were the one that brought all of us together. Because I met Cheryl through you. I met Ludwig through you. So how did you meet Cheryl, and how did you meet Felix?
The white kids
Okay,
come in.
So is it Cheryl first and then Ludwig, or yes?
I think
Yes, it is.
Cheryl
Cheryl
first.
first.
Let's do
Chronologically,
Cheryl,
Okay.
because it,
I am way off in American.
So,
we're going with chronological order, that's
Yeah.
why. So Felix met Grace first, but then Felix met Cheryl.
yeah.
Hello.
So there's this thing called Gaia Online, which is an old weeaboo fucking... It's literally like the widest Japanese fandom kind of MMO forum.
Yeah,
It's so white.
it is. Yeah,
But
it was fun though.
It was a lot of fun. You get to like dress up an avatar. You get like a weird virtual currency that people actually would do a lot of like gotcha-ing for and whatnot. You could play games. You could go into like a virtual world and like be creepy with each other and stuff. And that's where Felix and I met. No, you would go into
Fucking weeaboos.
No, you could go into this virtual world and then you could go to different, basically, like, grids in that world. And so people would be like, meet me at, like, G50. And you'd go there and you'd have, like, either, like, a party or you'd have, like, people pretending like they're gonna have an orgy or something like that. They wouldn't, because you couldn't, like, say curse words or anything like that or sexual words. But people would be like, I'm a naked avatar, and we're, like, all having a nude party and stuff like that. Shit like that happened in Gaia. I don't know about now, but back in the early 2000s...
There's a lot of horny kids. Okay,
That was the shit.
There's a lot of horny kids.
So, we didn't meet there. We just met in the forums.
Yeah, we meet at an orgy.
You better say that now.
Hey, honey, meet me at the orgy.
In
Hey,
G17.
Bring $50.
Oh god.
But Cheryl and I would just meet
no.
and we would just talk about games and movies and music.
We were
and-
literally just like that type of online friend you make on the forums. It's just we had a weird click connection and we had good chemistry. We were like, hey, what do you look like? We would send each other goofy pictures of us on like field trips and be like, haha, you look so cool. Maybe we should like...
Oh, you have a bowl cut.
Yeah, I had a bowl cut.
Did a bowl cut?
I had a bowl cut in
Cheryl
7th
had a
grade.
bowl cut. Oh my god.
It was great. I was yeah, you know in 7th grade nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah, Cheryl, you own your old frisur, hairdress.
So we were friends for what, like 5 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And we just randomly had a kind of leap of faith of like, hey, I'm gonna visit you for Christmas during Christmas of 2010 or something like
Christmas.
that.
Really?
No.
Why don't I visit you at Christmas for Christmas? What the?
And so I told my dad, hey, my friend from Canada's visiting. And by the time he left, he was my boyfriend.
Meeting Cheryl's dad is the funniest experience I'll ever have in my life.
You want me to tell it?
No, I'll tell it.
You're gonna tell it.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Okay.
Let's spill the tea.
Oh my goodness. So, my dad-in-law, bless his heart, he was trying to be polite and shit. So when I first met him, all he knew was that, oh, this kid's from Canada. He's also Asian. And he's friends with my daughter somehow. Okay, well, I can't be offensive to him. I can't be rude to him. So he goes up to me, shakes my hand. First thing that comes out of his mouth, "You're that Korean boy my girl keeps talking about." And I'm like, oh god, here we go. Sir, I'm not Korean. Oh, well, where are you from? He obviously didn't want to say China because it's saying like, oh, you're that Chinese boy. It's seen as rude, so that's why he went for Korean. So, but he's like, oh, so well, where are you from? Sir, I'm from Indonesia. Never heard of that place before. I'm like, oh my god. He had a globe.
He was like, go into my office and bring me my globe.
So I pulled it out. Found Indonesia. I was born there. And my father-in-law says, huh, you learn something new every day. Well, we're off to a great start.
Very great start.
Oh, lordy.
That's how Cheryl and I met.
Well, that's where we progressed from meeting.
Yeah. I think Ludwig... I mean, I love telling the story about how I met Ludwig, but I think
A moment.
Huh?
Grace meets Cheryl first.
Oh, yeah.
A moment.
Yeah,
Gotta make sure we go in chronological order.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
So, one
Cheryl,
year...
you need to tell this part.
So, one year, Felix took a big trip to Asia, and he was going to be gone for like a whole month, and... Y'all long-distance relationship kids know when already long-distance partner goes more long-distance, it's like, ugh. So...
Yeah, so we went from no time difference to a 12-hour time difference.
Oh.
Yeah, so Felix was like, hey, Grace, you want to do me a solid and, like, take care of my lover? And Grace was like, yo, I got you. Wait, did that sound weird? Wait, did that sound weird?
It sounds like
take care of my girlfriend. No problem.
relationship.
Yeah.
I was thinking more Hitman, you know?
Oh, no.
Take care of my girlfriend.
Jesus
You want to
Christ.
take care of my lover? How
No
much?
problem.
When and where?
You won't miss them at all when you're gone.
So, Jesus.
Oh my.
So, what was it, MSN Messenger?
It was MSN Messenger.
We
Yo,
got to bond on
R.I.P. RIP MSN Messenger. What a great chat format.
we got to bond on there. Basically, Felix introduced me to Grace on there, and like, Grace is gonna help keep you company while I'm not able to talk to you. You guys are gonna be great friends, and he was right, of course. We became very close, very great friends immediately, and that's kind of how we met. And ever since then, we've just kind of been like super, super close and whatnot. And so now comes the German.
Now comes the Deutschman.
Now comes the German.
The Deutschman.
Jawohl!
Jawohl! So, as you already might have heard, I am the only one in this company who is not from Northern America. I am a born and bred German. That sounds very weird, but yes. And Felix and I met in 2012 in spring in a French place called Thésée. For everybody out there who doesn't know what Tizzy is, it's basically a Christian youth pilgrimage place. And, yeah. Well, we were there for 10 days, right?
I think the retreat was only for a week. I only stayed there for a
Monday
week.
To Sunday.
Yeah. And then we had to leave, but some of us stayed in France a couple of days. But you and I exchanged info when the trip was done. I'll never forget meeting you for the first time, Ludwig. It was slightly terrifying.
Me neither.
Because here I am.
So
doing everything that I can.
Yeah, you are. So for everybody, we met in one of the first Bible lessons, and I was sitting there right next to him, and I don't even know how we started to talk with each other, but I can only remember that we compared our first names, and I was like, yeah, I'm Ludwig, and Felix was like what, like Ludwig Beethoven? I was like, yeah, what's your name? Felix, like Felix Mendelssohn? And this is still the running gag between the running gag between the two of them. He calls me Beethoven, I call him Mendelssohn.
I remember
sadly, shortly afterwards.
I remember seeing you for the first time, and you were wearing your full German goth getup, and you had long black hair. You had the steampunk hat with your.
Do you have like goggles too?
With the goggles.
Yeah, he had goggles.
The goggles. The fake mouse named Spiky.
Yes.
And I was like, holy shit, where the fuck am I? Who is this tall German dude? And the thing that I remember most is that you would lean over to me and say, hey, Mendelssohn, do you like pirate jokes? I was like, yeah, I love pirate jokes. Mainly, I also said that, I was like, oh, this guy's kind of terrifying. But yeah, sure, if he likes pirate jokes, okay. But then we just started trading pirate jokes every day.
Oh, yeah.
And we became best friends after.
We kind of became best friends. Yeah. We both went, like in Tizzy you have a day structure, which is oriented in prayer times, teaching times, and food times. And Felix and I, we were the tea team at 17 o'clock. And I remember we were handing out teas, like super sweet, dissolvable tea for everybody, while singing loudly, like Freude schöner Götterfunken, and Felix with a stellar performance of Hakuna Matata. Not Hakuna Matata.
No. Circle of Life.
The Circle of Life, opening songs of Lion King.
Yeah, the opening of Circle of Life. That was me every single day. And
they could have seen us every single day because we were from the second day on forwards, and we were like, hey Felix, let's go, let's sing.
Yep, that's me. Oh my god. Great time.
Yeah. And we were...
And then from there...
From there, I think we met one more time in England together with another friend which we met there, Anton from Sweden.
Yeah.
And then it is time to talk about
your
wedding!
Wow! So Cheryl and I got married.
Yeah.
Yay!
But when I got married, I'm like, yo, fuck all these American people. I'm gonna make this wedding one they will never forget. So I made it as...
Little context, we got married in Belmont, North Carolina, which is... I mean, North Carolina in general is like White Town, but...
This is like
Belmont
bar
is
of soap white. Okay?
Bar of soap?
Of soap white?
Wait, hang on, explain. Why? How bar of soap white?
Is it bar of soap or like marble white?
What?
What's whiter?
A bar of soap.
Salt?
A bar of soap is whiter.
Okay, the term is ghost white.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was thinking about it. I was like, there has to... What's...
Oh, sweet Christ, bar of soap white. I'm using that forever now.
What's whiter than being white? Bar of soap.
Whoa, shoot, where were we at?
Okay, we're in Belmont.
We're in Belmont. So lots and lots of white people. A lot of my family is white. I know it's unfortunate, but that's how it was. And so Felix was like, you know what? I'm going to shake shit up. I'm going to bring so many people of color all the way from, Taiwan.
Yep.
And people from Europe.
Yep.
And people from my home, like from
Canada.
Scarborough and whatnot.
Yep.
So yeah, who all did you bring? You brought your family.
I brought family and friends, but the key point here is that I brought in Ludwig and Anton from Europe to come visit me during the wedding.
And I was like, hey, I need bridesmaids. Who's one of my closest friends? Grace, yo, you want to come be in my wedding? Grace was
I was like,
sure,
yeah. Of course. I
still think...
But also, I was like, so, like, do you need me to do anything? And she's like, no. You know, just, like, keep me calm. And then come up and
in a classic Grace fashion, you end up doing everything
anyway. She took
anyway.
over everything. She saw that the organization of the whole thing was bonkers. The bridesmaid...
No. It wasn't bonkers. Ludwig, it wasn't bonkers. It wasn't done the way Grace would have done it. That's exactly the reason.
Excuse me.
You made me sound like I showed up and I took over everything. Like, that was not the case. The case was totally someone forgot the date of the wedding and didn't actually do what was needed.
Grace, you took over.
No, I did not take over. I saw that there was something that was not right and it was stressing Cheryl out. So then I said, don't worry, I got this.
I mean, I was in general just stressed out because one is usually stressed out prior to weddings.
You know when you get to the point where you get past the point of stress that you become zen? Mm-hmm. That was Cheryl during the wedding.
The day of the wedding when we were chilling, everybody had their dresses on and whatnot. We were just prepping to go in. I remember I was just like, I'm fine. I feel actually I'm feeling pretty good. And I think, was it Grace or was it one of my cousins just was like, yo, you have been so stressed out. Have you just gone into Zen mode?
Yeah.
Kind of like that one, what was it, Saint Young Men moment?
Yeah.
So, we got married and, Grace and Ludwig happened to be there. And, since my family was wasn't my family taking care of that whole group? To where you guys were able to kind of bond and whatnot under my parents' activities.
Yeah. I know that Ludwig was being picked up by Felix and me, and was it Cheryl or was it Cheryl's dad?
Oh yeah, I drove to the airport.
I met you did. Yeah,
this was the first time I actually met Cheryl. I met Grace shortly before Cheryl, because I met Cheryl at her parents' house, but Grace in the car. But the thing is that I was so incredible jet lagged. We had to start so early in the morning, and I think it was like a 20, 30 hours flight or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
That I was super tired, and we had issues with my visa going in and stuff like that.
What? So, you never told us this.
You never told us that.
Yeah, it might have been me being a bit slow in realizing, I need a second visa for this trip. Oops.
Oh no.
And everything went out fine. I made a mess over there.
Hey man, you didn't ship yourself in a crate to get yourself there.
Exactly. Nobody asked me to please step to the side. Anyways. Grace tells me that she met me in the car. I remember her being at the house of the parents.
I remember seeing him and Anton, and we were just driving up to them and having them load up the car and stuff. And Felix was introducing everyone in the car. Anton was sitting in the front, and then the three of us were sitting in the back. And all I can remember was I think it was just Ludwig was still in his goth phase, and he never grew out of it. And I was just like,
you never know. Once you're in, you never come out.
It's true. But I was that's I'm digging this. And then after
terrible choice, really, but
I'd tap that.
Well, she did eventually.
Moving on. And then we actually had our first full conversation when Cheryl's friend showed us those gimmick tests. It was how mad of a mad scientist you are, and we were competing to see who was more evil than the other, and I won.
Of course.
Ludwig just wants to think that he wants to give his subordinates health insurance and shit like that. But if it's a true evil
Excuse me.
Ludwig!
mad scientist.
My
You're
point
too
still stands
socialist
after
to
all
be
this
an
time.
evil scientist.
No, my point still stands on all this time. If the mob is coming for you with torches and pitchforks, you do not want your minions to run away. You want them to defend you. And you don't do that by fearing them into submission. You have to be smart about these things.
But if you were such an evil genius scientist, you would have already made like technology that can kill people instantly, whether it's chemical, nuclear, physics, that kind of stuff. So
Hey, have your company already done that? You're a shitty bad evil scientist as I am.
No. Okay. But I think I'm on this conversation, period. Because if I'm such a genius, I can kill anyone I want. Okay. No, moving on. So then at some point he saw me reading Cursed Child.
The 8th book of the Harry Potter series.
Yeah, but it was a play. It wasn't an actual book. And I cried at a part where Snape was talking about, in this alternate universe, about like Harry naming his son after him. And I was like lost it because Snape. But also I was just like so invested in the book, and I was just like, I need to like remove myself from this book, and I need to like blow my nose, but there's no tissue other than the toilet that happens to be in the study that I have to walk through the living room to get to. And then Ludwig was like, did she just cry over a book? And then he was totally in love with me at this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
I cannot stress this enough. Like, I come from a family where we read a lot. And this was the first time actually seeing somebody outside of like a movie or any kind of media or my own family where somebody would actually show emotions outside of rage or laughter because of a book. And I was so deeply fascinated by that. Like, my thought at this point is like, who is this girl who has that mental capacity to cry because of something written down? Like, that is so poetic.
Oh, that explains the letter.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get to the letter.
Gotta get to the letter.
I love the letter story.
Oh,
I
the
love the letter story. It is so legendary.
Okay, but
I still cannot believe you did this.
But like, also like, you have to premise this with the story of him thinking that he took me out on a romantic date and at the airport.
Okay, then let's fast forward this. It was the last day. It was the last day of us in Canada, and Grace and I figured.
U.S.
Sorry. It was the last day of us in the US, and Grace and I figured out that we were leaving the US at the same date, at the same time, from the same airport and the same terminal. So we went to the airport together. Naturally, we were in the check-in. We were joking, having fun, and I saw a frozen yogurt smoothie, something on the other side of the security, and I was inviting her for a date. In my defense, when we as Germans talk about the date, we're talking about a date with romantic intention.
But I thought it was a coffee date where you just like show up and get to know someone, and it's like just getting to know them as as a person, like really sit down and say like, these are my interests, here are these things that I'm really interested in terms of what I'm hearing from you. And we actually started talking about the wedding itself and the time we had together in Charlotte, and like experiencing America,
America.
Yeah, and maybe it was just me being naive because I like meeting people and talking to them and stuff, and we exchanged numbers and we texted for a while, like at least a month, and then I receive a letter.
Well, I heard from Grace on our Gothic/romantic date that she likes to write letters, and I like to write. And I worked in a bar at that point. And after a while, I actually managed to get Grace's address, to write her said letter. And I wrote a letter where I was asking to be my long-distance relationship, but in a, let's phrase it, a bit of a roundabout way. So I don't know if any of you out there are familiar with the concept of minne. Minne is a classic medieval knightly chivalry form of loving somebody who you will never be able to get to because they are either way higher in status than you or far away. And I was thinking, well, between Grace and me is a bit of an ocean. It's like, if she says no, there's literally nothing I can do about it. But, let's go. Also, I might have to add to this that this was the end of the shift, of my shift in the bar. So I might have drunk 1 or 2 beers.
I would say more.
No.
Probably.
But, like,
it has to be more.
Keyword.
It has to
Like-
be more. It has to be more. It can't just be 1 or 2.
You can't write like that sober.
I can write like that.
Okay.
And I prove it to you.
Okay, it's not... Here's the crazy thing. It's not just any regular old letter with medieval intent. This is a medieval letter. In medieval English.
Mm-hmm.
With medieval intent.
What was it, Middle English or something like
And
that?
ending
Yeah.
on a poem, I would like to say.
Yeah. it was
You
a
ended on a
very-
poem? Oh!
I did.
Poem in Old English.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking ye and thy and minne, and I'm talking like 16th century lingo. And like when I read
was
this, I
that-
was
what-
like,
Was the paper coffee stained to make it look old too?
No, I didn't go that far.
like you can only get dingy paper from a bar, you know.
I made sure it was at least not beer soaked, so there you go.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so like for me, I had like great confusion reading this.
Yeah, because you two were video chatting, if I'm not mistaken. You were video chatting
Yeah.
together, like, oh, Ludwig, I got your letter. And Ludwig was going, oh no.
Yeah, I read it in front of him, and like obviously I
Oh my.
smiled because I was like, "Oh, Old English, how
Interesting.
LOL.
romantic." But also like we already knew that we liked each other. We just didn't know what to do with it, all those feels. But then at the same time, I was like so greatly confused because I didn't know what the modern day equivalent of this was. It's like Bay or Faye, like what you talking about, boy? And then I was like, okay, let me think about this for a bit. And,
And then
Cheryl, help me out.
And in the end of in the middle of November, end of November, I got a letter back,
yeah, I did write a response back.
which started.
Was it just like a letter with like...
something with a very poetic observation? I still
okay.
have the first few lines in mind. It was.
It would be hilarious if the letter that Grace sent to Ludwig was just in big letters, yes.
I mailed this all the way.
for sure.
Well, to be fair, we both wrote letters at the same time and sent them at the same time. His happened to be romantic and asking for my courtship. But then I sent him a letter about like Canadian
This is
winter.
what I ate today. Wow, it's so cold today. I just had a double-double on my way here. I was just hanging out with all my buds. Felix says hi. My lady, please court me.
My lady.
It's old-fashioned.
So this letter, the sending date of my first letter is still the starting date, or we see it as the starting date of a relationship, even though we have met earlier. And then it basically took us 9 months to actually be together for the first time as a couple when Grace came to Berlin in August of 2017.
Yeah.
How did your
Wow.
parents deal with you, Grace? And how did you deal with being in Berlin? Because I don't think... I've been to Europe, but I've never been to Germany. I went to Berlin. I really should fix that. We were supposed to.
You are supposed to come for our wedding because we got married afterwards.
Yeah, last year
Yeah.
to be exact.
Yeah.
Nice.
But to answer your question, my parents were like, they kind of suspected because I came home and my dad picked me up and I was like, yeah, the wedding was great. I was meeting friends and making new friends. There's one from Sweden and one from Germany, and like I got all these like American friends, and it was actually, I was explaining to him like it was really stressful for me because Cheryl's nephew was hitting on me, and then I had so many people around me, and I was like,
nobody.
I knew nobody, and Ludwig was kind of mindful of that, and I really appreciated it. And then, like, obviously, the fact that I mentioned him and said I appreciate him was like, my dad was like, all right, something's going on.
A little sus there, eh?
Yeah, but he was like, he didn't think that it was going to be serious, let alone resulting in a marriage. Because when Ludwig and I visited each other, and like that first time of me going to Berlin, actually my parents bought me a plane ticket for my gift, like a birthday gift. And so it was planned for the dates I was thinking of, and they're like, we trust you to be an adult and that you make the right decisions and stuff like that. And they were, in their own way, really supportive of this long distance process, but also they weren't sure what to think of it because they've never had to be in a long distance relationship, let alone, like, to my brother, Ludwig was my internet boyfriend. Yeah. And he didn't want to interact with Ludwig at all because he's like, what is the point? And I think my parents also didn't know how to interact with Ludwig because he was also, there is a language barrier because both sides or both parties are, like, English is their second language or third. So it's like heavy accents and trying to understand humor. So
especially not helped by me that I at this point had an even worse dialect than I still have. And yes, I am aware that I speak a very German Deutsch, yeah. English.
So yeah. So that's how we all met, and then now we're at this point where we're making a podcast. Oh yeah,
that's an interesting point. Felix bringing up like how your parents had kind of reacted. Felix, how did your parents react?
Oh, well, I was notorious for being a bit of a flirt, and I'm pretty sure
even Ludwig's like,
Ludwig. Even then, my mom was like, "Oh, Felix is bringing another girl home. Okay, I will glare at this person until they leave." But I think my mom was able to see how serious I was and wanting to make it work because I put in a lot of work and I put in a lot of effort. And I try and keep my mom up to date with whatever is going on in Cheryl's life as much as I can, more so than I had with other people that I've had in my life. So it was just really nice. And then my mom, it took a while for her to get used to Cheryl. And
this includes when I moved up.
Yeah. My mom has always been... Well, mom's always been pretty wary, but...
Well, she's like... She kind of runs her household, and then there's another, like, non-male person in the house, and she's like, whoa. I think there was a tiny bit of, like... Now listen here, you little shit.
A little bit. Maybe a little bit. But, Cheryl was able to impress my mom. I think the main thing is that Cheryl was able to eat mom's food. And that will always impress, especially family members from Asian, coming as an immigrant from Asia. If you can eat their food, they're going to be okay with you.
Yeah.
That's always a big plus. So
your dad was very chill.
Yeah, my dad was just like, okay, get married, sure. Be happy, son. And I'm like, thanks, Dad.
This is interesting because I had a similar experience with Grace Ma. The first or second time I came over, and
I think I made a lot of cookie points when she asked me, "Hey Ludwig, when you come over, what do you want to eat on my second trip over there?" And my immediate response was like, "I want to have your pho and nothing else."
Oh, yes.
And she immediately was like, "Oh, okay." And whatever they put on the table in front of me, I ate it, even if it was the fermented shrimps.
Yeah. So there's a dish, I don't know how to say it in English, but essentially you cook, it's like a ceviche, but with alcohol instead of lemon juice, and you put shrimp in vodka with ginger and garlic, and you let it ferment in the sun for a bit, and like the sun rays make it pink, but like the alcohol is what kind of flavors it with the garlic and ginger and peppers. So Ludwig ate one, and like no one in our family can eat more than a few, and Ludwig ate two. So that was very impressive to my mom. Because
I'm just imagining this as like an anime moment, you know, kind of like when you're watching a sports anime. Nani? They ate too. Oh!
Yeah, so there's that. But I think, Cheryl, like, did you have to go through a lot of tests with, with the Erfin family?
Trials.
Trials.
The laughter alone tells so much.
Like, there's trials.
Like with her,
there's a test.
like with his mom?
Yeah, or like even with the family, like for my family, their test for Ludwig was dinner table, like if he was going to be picky and eating stuff or not eating stuff.
Going shopping with me?
Going shopping with him. My mom took him out shopping to see his spending habits.
No! Really?
Yeah.
Wow!
So I'm curious.
I went with her to buy a pair of shoes. We walked to the Scarborough Town Center, a giant shopping mall. We took 2.5 hours or something like that. And we settled on one pair of shoes after going through every single shoe store and shoe-related store in the whole thing. And at the end, I was like, okay, this is this pair of shoes. Afterwards, Grace told me that her mom came to her and said, he passed.
Wow!
I didn't know that.
Whoa! That is so crazy!
Yeah, because there was a
I'm
couple
thinking.
things that came into play because my brother and I, we don't have the patience to go shopping for 2.5 hours. This is like,
Oh my
she was like
God.
seeing a couple of things, but also he got shoes on sale that were good quality, and that he said that he would only use them for special occasions, and he does do that. And he like deflected my mom by, like, she keeps offering to buy things for him. Like, every time he was looking at something, she's like, oh, you want that? Do you want to buy it? And he's like, no, I don't need it. Like, no, I'll buy it for you. He's like, no, it's okay. And it's like, no, please let me buy. And then he's like, no, I brought money, so I can pay for it myself. I'm just looking at things here and there. And with the shoes, she was really adamant on paying it, but he was like, nah, it's okay. Like, look, I have the money for it. And she's like, no, you are a guest. And he was like, oh, did you relent?
In the end, I relented. She was working me like a schnitzel.
No, that happened with your mom too.
What?
Well, a little bit. She randomly offered to buy stuff. Like, no, I think for me, I didn't relent as hard just because I didn't know about kind of how that works, especially in, like, say for instance, like a restaurant setting. And I don't think my parents knew that either. I had to kind of forewarn them. But I would honestly say in my Southern culture, like, the hospitality is, like, expected to be just like, oh, thanks for the offer, I'll oblige. And so I have Felix's mom being like, hey, do you want, like, we're going to Tim Hortons and letting this American try Tim Hortons. Do you want me to buy you a coffee? And I'm like, oh, thank you. I'd love a coffee. And Felix had to, I mean, it wasn't like to the point to where I was just letting his mom buy me everything. But I think we came to a discussion once where he was like, yeah, that's like customary, like, you don't just say yes. you often like fight over who's paying for something.
Yeah.
Especially in like restaurant settings.
Oh yeah, big time, big time, big time.
And I had never heard of that. I was like, why would you fight if somebody's offering?
No, it's life and death in a restaurant.
And it was hilarious. Because, what was it? The first time my parents came up after we did get married, I had to go ahead and tell my parents, like, Ani's going to pay for dinner. And my dad's like, nah, I'll pay for it. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. She will go behind your back and pay for it if she has to. And she actually did. She's like, I'm going to stand up and go to the washroom. You just guys stay here. And she went to go pay the bill.
Oh, no.
And so that was kind of an interesting point for me. I mean, I've learned, of course, since then, but I had never had, like, experienced that before. And so I just kind of was like, oh, thank you for being so generous. And I'm sure your mom was happy to, like, help out. But that's what I was used to.
So, like, I'm wondering, is there an equivalent in the German context or, like, North Carolinian context that
was I tested by your parents at all?
Okay, I will say, like, for Felix and my parents, I'd still say to a certain point the food factor was a thing, because my parents once did like a really traditional Southern dinner. I think he had even come in the summer, so it was like perfect. We had cornbread, we had sweet tea, we had pickled okra, and then like some sort of like potato salad and like barbecue sort of thing.
Potato salad. And
Felix tried. He was like, of course, being polite, he'll like try some stuff. And then he, I think, downed the rest of his sweet tea, and he's like, can I have more sweet tea? And my dad's like, I like this boy.
No, the one that impressed me the most was, hey, Dad, can I get some pickled okra? You like pickled okra?
I think that was the point where my dad was like, all right, this boy's okay. This Asian boy's all right.
Yeah, my favorite part of hanging out with your parents was when your dad took me to the gun range.
Okay, we gotta tell the story of the gun range. It started with that her dad came to us and was like, all right, who of y'all have shot a gun before? We were like, what?
Nobody.
Who wants to? And then like 7 pairs of hands went up. I was like, he counted through it. Like, okay, all right, this is a little bit more than expected. All right, we go to the shooting range, and I immediately was like, where would we have gone elsewhere? We just would have gone into the forest and shot at some trees. But if you're that many, the neighbors will come asking. And it was like, this is your only reason that you're going for the shooting range? Okay.
But also, this was supposed to be Felix's bachelor party.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and somehow you got roped in.
Yeah, Grace was like, I want to shoot a gun. No, she was like she was like, you guys are going to a shooting. I would love to go to a shooting. So like, we woke up the day of the wedding and Grace was like, Cheryl, are you okay if we go to the shooting range? And I was like, go, just do it.
Yeah, but also they said it was a bachelor party, so I wasn't invited. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
You invited yourself in.
Yeah, you were like, please take me.
No. What happened was Papa Cornet was 1 foot out the door, and he turned back and he said, Grace, get up, we're going to the shooting range. And I was like, okay.
And I have to add, she is a good shot. She was like, I will be better than everybody else. I don't think you actually had the best
typical Grace
grouping,
fashion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, my grouping was if you put your fingers together, like thumb to thumb and fingers to fingers. That was my shooting, like, grouping. So I think that was the best out of everyone else in that shoot. That little.
Oh man,
I wasn't there.
Of course.
But Grace, were you able to impress Ludwig's parents in any way?
Oh yeah, my parents. I think Grace had more of the problem that my family sometimes is like a group of golden retrievers. It's like very excited about everything, and if they don't fully understand you or they don't fully can speak the language, they will just immediately revert back to German and then speak even faster. I can remember the first time Grace was in Germany, and we went with my family and we sat outside for a bit of a fire and some food, And I have a lot of siblings, and 2 of my siblings and my dad started discussing, and at one point they were like, oh no, this is too hard of in English, so they reverted back to German, and then they get very competitive. And Grace just sat next to me and was like, everybody okay? Are they angry at each other? And they were like, no, Grace, it's okay. It's just my family. Come, let's sit with my ma. My ma already was somebody else. I just looked at her just knowingly, being like, yeah. Come sit down.
But like, do you know when there was a moment when your parents were impressed with me?
Oh, they are constantly impressed with you.
Oh.
Like every time we go visit my parents and we start cooking with each other. It came to the point that when we visit my family during Christmas, they only want one thing of us, and that is that we cook something. Yeah. But cooking is another episode.
Mm-hmm.
That is indeed another episode. Good segue. I'm guessing that we can call this one. We can call this episode then, right?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
Yes.
This has been fun. I hope you had fun as well. Like I said, this is our 10th time trying to record this, but this is episode 1. So I hope you enjoyed it. You can find us at Our Relationship 2. If you want to shoot us an email with suggestions for topics or questions, what's our email address again?
Ourrelationship2.com.
No,
it is
at
not.
gmail.com.
What?
We don't have a website yet.
But I hope you had fun. You can, if you want to follow me on social media, you can find me at ComposerFA.
You can find me on Twitter and Insta at CharSheBlows.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram with Vantage Point, which is PHAN.
And you cannot find me because I'm a caveman and live under a rock.
This has been fun.
I don't have social media.
Oh my gosh. It's okay. We love you anyway, Ludwig.
I know.
This has been fun. Hope you had fun too. Catch you later.
Yeah.
Catch you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.